Alright, well, this is my first YouTube video, and I hope that I don't bore you too much, but this is the conversion story of me from Christian to atheist. Alright, so I started out at 18. Kind of a drug user, a little bit of a shithead. Get saved. You know, got invited to a little church thing. Gave my heart to Christ on my 18th birthday because, oh my God, I felt the power of God. I was also stoned out of my mind when I went. Just going to throw that out there. But anyways, so yes, I get saved. I start to do this, I get out of the drug life. I start to do this Christian thing, become a tongue-praying, believing, gospel preacher. And here I am, spreading the gospel in love, more like hitting people over the head with it, condemning homosexuals to hell, suicide cases to hell, telling anyone that has sex outside of marriage that they're sinning against God and they should get married immediately. That, your typical Christian stuff. That was me. Also, praying in tongues, thinking that I was spirit-filled, living in perfect love and perfect peace. Then I started to learn some really weird shit, like, the creationism theory. Yeah, I followed that hand and foot. I even voted for Bush because he was a praying man. If I could take anything back, that would be it. Seriously. Man was a fucking idiot, and I can't believe I ever fell for that shit. But, so, here's the gist of it. Did I meet good people? Yes, I did. I met some wonderful people during my time. And I mean, no disrespect to them. If they continue believing, that's fine with me, because they're great people. But I won't accept this idea that the earth was 6,000 years old and that anyone who believes otherwise is clearly deceived because God. Fuck. People are idiots. This was me from the time I was 18 until about 6 years ago. About a year and a half before Bush's term presidency was up. That's when I really started questioning things. Because I was faced with my own glaring hypocrisy, how I would drill Christians for bringing railing accusations against believers and non-believers alike, and how I would get after them for thumping people on the head with the Bible, while in the same day, I would literally tell somebody that if someone commits suicide, they would probably go to hell. This is saying to somebody who someone close to them had actually committed suicide. Not kidding. And I honestly believe this. I seriously believe that if you commit suicide, you're going to burn in hell. No do-overs on that one, man. You're already dead. Can't do that one over. Sorry. No more repentance necessary. I didn't understand things like clinical depression or really anything outside of what the Bible told me. And once I did, once I started seeing my own hypocrisy, because I had to take a step back, you kind of had this cognitive dissonance, and I was like, holy shit. I am exactly what I hate. I am exactly what I preach against. I am exactly the type of Christian that I always preach against. And, it wasn't revelation from God or anything like that. It was the fact that I found myself with no friends. Lucky me. So yeah, that's what brought it about. It wasn't a revelation. It was just the fact that I didn't have any friends. And the few that I did have lived 300 miles away, so they didn't deal with me every day. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have stayed my friends. So that's my Christian life in a nutshell. And that's about the time I started questioning. Because I said, you know what? I was a quote-unquote spirit-filled believer, praying in tongues, supposedly being guided by the Holy Spirit. And honestly, I seriously felt like I was. And I did all this horrible shit. I was this horrible person doing that. And what strikes me as weird is these are not things or sorts of things that I would have done when I was doing drugs. I was literally a worse person than I was when I was doing drugs. When I was smoking meth and smoking dope. You know, I didn't do this sort of shit. I just sat there. You know? But yeah, I literally was a worse person than I was when I did drugs. Thankfully, the drug part only lasted about a year and a half, so it didn't have that huge of an effect on me. At least not so much that I would never climb myself out of this religious, dogmatic pile of shit lie that we've all had shoved down our throats, especially if you live in the free world. Western free world, I'll rephrase that. So that sort of got the ball rolling. And I started thinking about things. I started thinking about philosophical things. I said, okay, so I'm wrong about this. Is there other things that I'm wrong about, that I'm not understanding clearly as far as the Bible puts it, or in terms of the Bible? And I found out that not only was I not understanding clearly, but my brain was literally making excuses for some of the horrible shit you find in the Bible. Like when the Benjaminites raped one of the priest's concubines. Literally, it's there. Raped the concubine. And she died. Okay? What happened? At first, everyone was pissed off, but here's how everybody got pissed off. The priest sent everybody... The priest chopped her up into 12 pieces and sent one piece to all the other tribes of Israel. Alright? Somehow, when they received that piece of her body, they knew this girl had been raped and killed. We gotta go get the Benjaminites. I mean, it didn't say that he sent a note with them. That would have made more sense. You know, this is my dead concubine that was killed by the Benjaminites. I'm sending you each piece of her body which is morbid, even if he had sent the letter and was justified in being extremely pissed off about this. You know. But it didn't say there was a letter. Just, there's the body part. You know what happened. Because, you know, it happens all the time in Israel, apparently. So, they go to war against the Benjaminites, kill so many of them, refuse to let them marry any of the daughters of Israel, just reward. But then they feel sorry for them, so then they let them go and rape and murder another group of people and marry those girls that they had raped. Okay. So, but I made excuses for that. I'm like, oh, well, you know, these people didn't have the Holy Spirit, you know, they couldn't understand, you know, they couldn't understand God the way the Israelites could because of the divine intervention, which is a load of shit. But, you know, those are the sorts of excuses I would make up. And it got to a point where I just couldn't make those excuses anymore. And it really started with the book of Genesis, which is ironic because the book of Genesis is supposed to be the beginning. But I'm kind of a nerd, so, you know, my spare time I would watch things like the Science Channel, Net Geo. Every now and then I'd watch a History Channel, not so much in the last few years because they've turned into a bunch of reality TV bullshit nonsense. But that's beside the point. When I realized that evolution most certainly was true, and, you know, before Christians freak out on me like, oh, you don't know that it's true. Yes, I do. I mean, I can look. You can line up the smallest rodents to the biggest rodents, to the smallest monkeys, to the biggest monkeys, to the smallest apes, to the biggest apes, to man, and you can literally see the transition. I mean, we don't even need fossil evidence, which we do have, to say that, you know, this is probably what we should believe is our origination story, how we got here. But, you know, we do have the fossil evidence, we do have the transitional fossils, so it even solidifies that even more. This is what happened. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It is what happened. So so that means that we can't take creation, the Genesis account of creation, literally. because not everything was created at once. Not every living creature came into being at the same time or within a few days of each other. That's preposterous. And we also have the sediments, different layers of sediments, and you never find fossils from certain time frames in the wrong layer. Never. If there was a great flood, you would expect that something would try to swim to the top and be found in a different, they'd be scattered all over the fucking place. They wouldn't all be, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. It'd be like, sorry for my little hand gesture. But yeah, so that debunks the account of creation and the Noah Ark thing. So maybe they're not supposed to be taken literally. This is what I said in my mind. Maybe they're not literal. Maybe we shouldn't take that literally. Well, if we don't take that literally, what else don't we take literally? Like some of the horrible shit that's in the Bible, the genocide of everyone living in Palestine. Whatever you want to call it, Palestine, Israel, Galilee, Judea. The genocide of every single one of those people, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Midianites, for what? For a patch of desert? Seriously? You're going to kill all these people for desert? I mean, at least make it a good place to live. Like, we got palm trees, we got coconuts. No. A desert. So, there's that. The genocide of all these people. Which is pretty fucked up. But, and then I'm going to have to edit that out. And then it comes around and it says, no, edit that out too. And then there's the whole 6,000 year thing. 6,000 years is how old these creationists say the Earth is. I mean, we have literally hundreds of thousands of layers of snow ice in the Antarctic. A layer of snow ice gets put on. A layer of snow ice is added every year. So the 6,000-year-old theory is utter trash as well. Creationism is gone. That whole theory is a load of shit. I mean, but I always held on to that what if. For 4 years I held on to this little what if. What if there is a God? What if, what if when I die I am told I'm either going to heaven or hell? What if? So I broke it down. Is heaven a biblical concept or is it a New Testament concept? And the reason I say it like that is because biblical would mean that it's a concept that's in both the Old and New Testament. If it's not, then it's not really a biblical concept because it's not it doesn't agree with other parts of the Bible, which it doesn't. Because in the Old Testament, when they talked about a place for afterlife, the afterlife, they talked about a place called Sheol, S-H-E-O-L, or in later translations, later books, they actually called it hell. And it was never referred to as a place. I mean, there's psalms about people going there and patrons praying for their sons to go there. What kind of a parent would pray for their son to go to a place where they're going to be tortured eternally? I mean, seriously. So, that kind of contradicted. And I also started thinking about some of the moral stuff. Like, in Deuteronomy, chapter 22, it says that, a man, if a man rapes a woman, in Deuteronomy chapter 22, it says that if a man rapes a woman who is betrothed to be married, then that man is to be stoned to death because he shamed this woman. But if a man rapes a woman who is not betrothed to be married and is a virgin, then the man pays her father 50 shekels and he gets to marry her and he can never divorce her. What a punishment. I mean, Christians would argue, oh, well, that actually is a punishment because she's going to hate him for the rest of her life and he's stuck with her. Well, except that, he raped her, so he's obviously prone to abuse. He's most likely going to beat the shit out of her until she's so scared of him that she doesn't dare raise her voice or do anything to him to make him miserable or to upset him. That is likely what's going to happen in that case. And so I thought, this can't legitimately be a punishment for him. There's no way that God is that fucking stupid. And then I got to thinking, well, if she's betrothed and he rapes her, he gets stoned. But if she's not, he marries her. Okay. Why does he get stoned for one and not the other? And the only common denominator is that she's betrothed. Or the only difference is that in one scenario the woman is betrothed. Okay? So what they're saying is this woman belongs to somebody else. So you can't rape her. But if she doesn't, free game. There's your wife. Have fun. Can't get a date? Rape someone. Bible dating 101. So, yeah. And nowhere in the New Testament does it condemn rape. And what really gets to me is that the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not covet, really? Over rape? Not even in there. Rape, child molestation, vandalism. All worse than actually coveting something. I mean, I thought that the do not steal kind of covered what could happen if someone covets something. But apparently not. Just wanting goods, wanting better for your family is too much to ask for in the eyes of God. So, I mean, all those contradictions and just really horrible, nasty shit have really made me question God. So I kind of ruled out the Christian God with all this. And then I started thinking, well, maybe there is a God. Maybe it's just Jesus and God. Thought maybe deism is the right way. Maybe just be theistic, I'll be an agnostic theist. But at the end of the day, and I break it down, and when I break it down, I say, okay, well, why would a creator just start the Big Bang and let everything unfold? Why wouldn't they just pop everything into existence? If they are the creator, they could have created all this in 3 days if they are literally a God. So if they didn't create us in 6 days like the Bible claims, then they're not omnipresent, they're not omnipotent. Then they're not God. It's really very simple. I mean, it's possible, like Richard Dawkins said, that an alien species put basic genetic materials on Earth and let everything unfold, but the likelihood of that happening is very slim, considering that an alien species probably would have been looking for life-bearing planets, and if they were able to travel through that far through space, they would know what to look for. They probably wouldn't come to a volcanic Earth. Maybe, though, they would understand that this planet has potential. But still, it's kind of retarded. But there's a 0.1% chance that that's what happened. But when you look at it, the overwhelming evidence shows that There's nothing, you know, we came from nothing at all. We came from a mixture of sugars in the primordial soup that one day happened to randomly clump together, and it was the same sugars for a very basic genetic material, and through time that genetic material evolved from whatever it started as to RNA and eventually DNA. And I mean, because we still have traces of RNA in our blood, in our DNA. It's hanging on to our DNA, and it's a simpler form of genetic material than DNA. Not only that, but every species that we've tested DNA on, the human DNA is a 90% match. Every species. That is hard evidence to refute. You know? Oh, or you could be like Kirk Cameron and Ray Comfort and be like, oh, well, it's just a common creator. Oh, no, because you also preach that God likes variety. That's why there's people of different races, colors, and personalities. So why would everyone have the same genetic material if they didn't come from the same genetic material? I mean, it's the same basic stuff. 90% match. Every creature. The debate should have ended right there. Period. Actually, the debate over whether or not the Bible's real should have ended when Columbus discovered that the earth was round. Because the Bible also claims the earth is flat. Right there, the churches should have just closed up shop. Said, yep, we're wrong. Sorry. But no, because they want the money. There's that mighty dollar that rules everything. Especially for preachers. Especially because, yeah, I mean, I'll point to any megachurch, the Catholic Church, the Lutheran Church, same bullshit. Just offer money, you know? And it's just a lot of crazy shit that you know, and I feel like, you know, I don't feel bad necessarily about having believed all this stuff, because a lot of people have. A lot of atheists have gone through this, and I think it's just natural. I think it's just our evolution that we're going to eventually shed religion, because religion in itself, when you look at it, is an evolutionary trait, because we could not comprehend things like electricity or the wind or, you know, storms. We couldn't comprehend tidal waves or earthquakes. We didn't know what any of that stuff was, and it was frightening. And in order to keep us from worrying, our brains made a shortcut. Like our brains always do when it needs to be done. Our brains made a shortcut, and that shortcut was religion. It explained away all this stuff. It was completely wrong, but it explained away all these things that would keep people up at night worrying. Because, I mean, we have an intelligent mind. We have excellent memories. I mean, we can remember things from when we were 5 years old, when we're in our 50s and 60s. I don't know too many other creatures, at least not that I know of. There might be more. I might be wrong, because I haven't really studied this part, but I don't know of too many other creatures that can actually do that. But, you know, remember specific events from way back when. I mean, so these things would frighten us. We'd see a tornado and go, oh my god, you know, or holy shit. We didn't even have those terms. But, you know, and so our brains would just explain it away. Made a shortcut. So, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, here's the thing that I've realized. Admitting that I'm an atheist has freed me up in so many ways. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to hell. Okay? I don't care. If I look at porn or I see a girl and I'm like, oh my god, she's cute, I'm not like, I don't have that immediate thought like that's wrong anymore. It's just, you know, it's fine. It's okay to look at, it's okay to think that. Because we're human. That's in our nature. You know, that we wouldn't be reproducing if it wasn't. There'd be no babies. How innocent and how lovely children are and how we must protect them. They wouldn't exist if we took the Bible literally and would not look at another woman in a way of lust. It's not complicated. It's nature. We're animals. We're mammals. You know, we're not the only ones that give live birth. There's a lot of creatures that act the way we do. There's even some that look the way we do. Not many that think the way we do. But that's not, you know, that's a testimony to evolution, not a creator. You know, and the awesome thing is just open me up to be more compassionate, more caring, because I don't see people as, I don't see anybody as demon possessed or sinful. You know, everyone I see, every creature I see now is another, behind that pair of eyes, there's a mind, just like my own. A brain, a functioning brain, and a conscience. You know, and it's better than believing in religion. Really. You know, I've heard atheists say, well, I won't say anything about this because, or, you know, I won't try and convert anybody because, you know, I have nothing better to offer them. And I think that we actually have more to offer because it frees us from that mindset that our lives exist to please some higher power that, you know, may or may not exist. And so we spend our entire lives living under this dogmatic, oppressive doctrine while we could be enjoying our lives. We could be out having fun, going to a sports game, enjoying a cold drink, a beer, you know. None of that is wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, and you know, people will say, oh, well, atheists have no purpose. No, that's not true. I've found that my purpose is to find a mate, procreate, you know, get a good job, contribute to society, grow old, retire, spoil my grandkids, and die. All for the betterment of humanity and the continuation of our species. And that, I think, is a better purpose than any God could ever offer you. My name is Zachary. You can call me True Binks. That's my YouTube identity. You know, this won't be my last video, but it is certainly my first. I hope it wasn't too low quality. I hope I'm not too boring to listen to or too ugly to look at. Please leave your comments below. And if you like it, subscribe. If you don't, well, I'll live. See ya.